Hey, welcome to today's video. I'm going to go over how to use HTV. Not only HTV, but glitter HTV. So it is a bit more difficult to work with than your standard HTV, so your heat transfer vinyl. So as you can see, this is my glitter vinyl, and the one side is shiny and the other side is matte. Now it is important how you place your HTV on your mat. You are going to place this shiny piece, the shiny side, down and have the matte facing up. Now the reason for that is this is the actual HTV, so this is the piece that's going to stick to your material, and this part here is your carrier sheet, so your transfer sheet. So you don't want the machine to cut this, and you're going to see why at the end of this video when we go to apply it to our material. So here it is. Now glitter HTV is much thicker than your regular HTV. So this is just regular HTV. It's super thin, and the machine has a setting here for it. It's iron on, and you just set your machine and away you go. With glitter, it's a bit different. So you can't really tell the difference, but the HTV is much thicker, obviously, because it has glitter on it. So the setting that I use, that I feel that works the best and then weeds the best as well, is on here. This is a Cricut, it's a Cricut Explorer Air, just plain Cricut Explorer Air. So each machine might have a different setting. I'm not entirely sure, but for my particular machine, I use iron on, and then there's this little plus button in between iron on and light cardstock. So I place my dial there, and I find that it cuts the glitter HTV just perfect. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to show you. So again, matte side up, shiny side down. Okay, make sure you mirror your image as well on the settings on the Cricut on your computer. Always important. I can't tell you how much vinyl I've lost because I forget to mirror my image. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so it's on there just good. I'm gonna put it in my machine. I'm gonna put my machine a little bit closer. Again, the setting is on iron on plus. So in between iron on and light cardstock. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut it, and then once it's done cutting, we'll come back and we'll weed it. Okay, so I just finished cutting. Now, as you're gonna see here, you cannot tell at all where the machine has cut. It's like next to impossible. So here's a trick that I do. Now it's not foolproof, but it will get you started, is I pull up the HTV. Now I'm gonna end up wasting this, which is too bad, but I need to find where the Cricut actually cut. So what I do is I pull it up, and then I start pulling back, and then I take my, whatever you've got. I like to use sewing needles. I found that they're thinner, they're much easier to work with than the actual weeding tool. So what I do is I will pull it back, and then I will slowly start finding that cut by pulling at the material. Scissors out of the way. So I'm gonna keep trying to pull. If you can get an end spot, like for sure you know that it stopped cutting there, just cut the material all together so that you're not working with a big giant piece. But for me, it's so difficult for me to see where the machine cut my my vinyl, is that I have to kind of see by wasting, unfortunately. It's just going to be, now there's a little lettering up here, so when I pull, I don't want this entire piece to come up. So what I do is I just cut that vinyl so that I'm just working with the bottom piece. So as you can see, there's some here And I'm just gonna pull up as slowly as possible because I don't want to lose any of my wording. So I know that that's the middle piece, so I'm just gonna cut. So I'm just working on my bottom piece here. And I'm just gonna follow where the vinyl is taking me. And I'm not sure where it's taking me. Yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna keep working on this because you guys don't need to see me struggle here. Now this is the silver glitter, and I also cut, they call it magenta, but I don't know if you can see a little bit better. Yeah, there you go. You can see a little bit better on the magenta where the cuts are, for sure. So this one here will be a lot easier to weed than the actual silver. So this might take me a little bit. When both are weeded, I'll come back and we're going to apply it to a children's apron. And it's going to say, Little Baker. Kira is the little girl's name, and it'll have like a cupcake up here. Okay, so we'll go over temperature on your iron. I'm not sure heat press. I'm not that fancy. I don't have a heat press because I don't do a lot of iron on. I do more wood stencils, but I just thought that I would share a video that I am doing for my niece. Okay, so I'm gonna finish weeding and then I'm gonna come back. Okay, so I've just finished weeding. And as you can see, it will say Little Baker, and then her name is Kira, and then there's the little cupcake. So it really didn't take me a whole heck of a lot, maybe 10 minutes to weed, but still, it was a lot harder to weed than regular HTV. So now comes the applying part. So these little aprons, they come in a set of 5. You get a dark purple, a light purple, a dark pink, and a light pink, and a white. So I got them at Michael's, but they are $32 in Canada. So what I do is I wait till the 55% off, or at least 50% off, and then I go and I buy my packages. Really use a coupon for this because there's realistically, they're not worth $33 for 5 of them. So you can definitely get them cheaper. So what I do is I just iron out any wrinkles. And this, as you can see, is just a normal Walmart iron. And my rule of thumb is some people start off hot with glitter HTV, but it is a lot easier to go from a hot temperature, or from, sorry, it's a lot easier to go from a lower temperature than try to reverse it. If the temperature is not hot enough, you can always up that temperature. If the temperature is too hot, what's going to happen is you're going to melt the HTV and your product will be ruined. So I like, rule of thumb, start off at a low temperature. If you find that it's not sticking, up the temperature a little bit. But I am currently on a, like, it's probably like in the middle. It's not super hot and it's not really a low temperature either. So it's right in the middle. So normally you want to take a ruler just to make sure that it's right in the center. So it almost is. The more you do it, the more practice that you have with it, the easier it will be to be able to eye it to see that it's centered. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, and with iron on, it's not about the motion, but it's about obviously the pressure. So you want to apply as much pressure as possible. Now, when you're dealing with an iron, like an actual iron, you have little holes that is meant for steam to come out. You do not want any steam coming out. So make sure that your iron has absolutely no steam coming out. And you can find that setting at the top normally. Mine is a little dial. I just make sure that it's completely closed. And I move it back and forth because those little spots, like this, there's no heat actually there. So what happens is when you apply it, if you don't move your iron around, these spots on your vinyl don't actually adhere because there's no heat there. So I like to shimmy back and forth while applying pressure to make sure that all of the vinyl got some good heat. So I'm going to try to pull it up. There we go. As you can see, it adhered properly, so I'm just going to go and check it, make sure. Okay, for the most part, it's all adhered, but I'm like terrified that it's gonna lift a little bit. So I'm gonna do it one last time, one last little press. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it up. Okay, then now I'm going to apply her name, just there, like so. Now, what happens when you apply the heat back to something that's not covered by a transfer sheet is this will melt. So what I do is I apply the next piece that I want to iron on, and then I put the transfer sheet back over what I just heated up, because I do not want my iron touching this, or it's going to pull up on me again, or it's going to melt, sorry, altogether. So always remember to protect. Now there is a little bit here on my bee. It looks like some of the voids that I took out of the middle somehow attached itself to the transfer sheet, and it's now on my apron, and I don't want that. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of something that has been applied to your material that you don't want there. Pull this up. And voila, there she is. Okay, and then this is my little cupcake. Just gonna apply it there again, and to add all of my transfer sheets again, because I don't want to be super careful with my iron. I don't have time for that. So I just apply the transfer sheets all over again. Okay, this guy's up, and I pull that up. So there you go, little baker Kira. Mom. Okay, so now I'm going to go over what I just told you guys about. So I'm going to take the actual iron, and remember how I said as soon as you apply the iron to what you've put on the material, it's going to either melt or come up, or whatever the case. So that's what I want done for this, so that I'm able to actually take it off. So I'm going to apply some heat just to the spot that I want up. So I'll apply some heat, heat, and then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to slowly peel it up. So you're going to do that until it's all the way up. It's gonna take me some time, so I'm gonna finish doing that and I'll show you the end result. Okay, so as you can see, I just applied a little bit of heat, just at the tip of the iron here, and I just melted. What I'm doing is I'm heating up the glue so that it will peel up. That's the process of this. And the void is gone. All right, so you have any questions or comments about what you just saw, just let me know.